welcome back to that God Power channel. This is the channel where we're going to unlock the God Power laying dormant on the inside of you. But first today, what we're going to do is continue with our breakdown of the book of Revelations. And this is a marathon. We've been going. So let's continue. Last time we did chapter 17. This time we're going to do chapter 18. And I have to let you know, chapter 18 is a little bit longer than the last couple chapters have been. And for me, when I was taking notes on it, it was very redundant. They say a lot of things that, like, we know how when you're writing an essay and they're like, it has to be 3,600 words, and you're like, all right. So I'm going to tell how you get to the store, how you get to the amazing store down the street. You got to put extra words. That's what I felt like this chapter was doing, but I'm not going to take anything out, and I'm going to leave it all in because that's what the book says to do. So, in chapter 18, it goes like this. It's talking about the fall of Babylon, which, remember, in chapter 17, we kind of sounds like America, you know? I don't know. But chapter 18. After all this, I saw another angel come down from heaven with great authority, and the earth grew bright with his splendor. He gave a mighty shout. Babylon is fallen. That great city is fallen. She has become a home for demons. She is a hideout for every foul spirit, a hideout for every foul vulture, and every foul and dreadful animal. For all the nations have fallen because of the wine of her passionate immorality. The kings of the world have committed adultery with her. Because of her desires for extravagant luxury, the merchants of the world have grown rich. Then I heard another voice calling from the heaven, "Come away from her, my people. Do not take part in her sins, or you will be punished with her. For her sins are piled as high as heaven, and God remembers her evil deeds. Do to her as she has done to others. Double her penalty, and for all her evil deeds. She brewed up a cup of terror for others, so brew up twice as much for her. She glorified herself and lived in luxury, so match it now with torment and sorrow. She boasted in her heart, I am queen on my throne. I am no helpless widow. I have no reason to mourn. Therefore these plagues will overtake her in a single day. Death and mourning and famine. She will be completely consumed by fire. For the Lord God who judges her is mighty." So, again, this is judgment on a place. We know that Babylon is a place, or this woman that they're talking about is a place, and it's a place that's evil. It's where demons live. That's what it's saying. And God's judgments come into this place. And if anybody attaches themselves to this place, they need to separate themselves from this place, or else they'll suffer what this place is destined to suffer. Verse 9 says like this, "And the kings of the world who committed adultery with her and enjoyed her great luxury will mourn for her, as they see the smoke rising from her charred remains. They will stand at a distance terrified by her great torment, and they will cry out, how terrible for you, O Babylon, you great city! In a single moment God's judgment came on you. The merchants of this world will weep and mourn for her, for there is no one left to buy their goods. She bought great quantities of gold, silver, jewels, and pearls, fine linen, purple, silk, and scarlet cloth, things that made fragrant dyeing wood, ivory goods, and objects made of expensive wood and bronze and iron and marble. She also bought cinnamon, spice, and incense, myrrh, frankincense, wine, olive oil, fine flour, wheat, cattle, sheep, horses, wagons, and bodies, that is, human slaves. This is what this country or this place has bought from these merchants." Verse 14, "The fancy things you love so much are gone," they cry. "All your luxuries and splendor are gone forever, never to be yours again." The merchants who become wealthy by selling her these things will stand at a distance terrified by her great torment. They will weep and cry out, how terrible for that great city! She was clothed in the finest purple and scarlet linens, decked out with gold and precious stones and pearls. In a single moment all the wealth of the city is gone. And all the captains and the merchants of the ships and the passengers and the sailors and the crews will stand at a distance, and they will cry out as they will watch the smoke ascend, and they will say, where is another city as great as this? And they will weep and throw dust on their heads to show their grief. and they will cry out, how terrible for that great city. The ship owners became wealthy by transporting her great wealth on the seas. In a single moment, all of it's gone. Rejoice over her fate, O heaven, and the people of God, and the apostles and prophets, for at last God has judged her for your sakes. Then a mighty angel picked up a boulder the size of a huge millstone. He threw it into the ocean and shouted, just like this, the great city of Babylon will be thrown down with violence and will never be found again. The sound of harps, singers, flutes, and trumpets will never be heard in you again. No craftsmen and no trades will ever be found in you again. The sound of the mill will never be heard in you again. The light of a lamp will never shine in you again. The happy voices of brides and grooms will never be heard in you again. For your merchants were the greatest in the world, and you deceived the nations with your sorceries. In your streets flowed the blood of the prophets and of God's holy people, and the blood of people slaughtered all over the world. And that's the end of chapter 18. Now, I told you it was redundant. They said a lot of things in there. But the whole thing is that Babylon was falling, right? And the reason why it's falling is because the immorality and all the people who are rich from dealing with Babylon are mourning because of this. And that's pretty much how chapter 18 ends. So I hope you learned something from chapter 18. We're going to go into chapter 19 out of 22 in the next God Power. So just remember, you can tell that I'm getting tired, Joe. Just remember that you got that God Power. I got that God Power. Tap in the source, tap in the vibe.